This is a program for reserve. I'll look at you. Is everybody ready to call the meeting to order?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I'll officially call the meeting to order at 3:02. This is open board meeting for the homeowners. And so basically we're going to go over everything that's on the agenda. If you have any questions at any point in time, please ask. What?
Loud.
Louder? Okay, louder. Okay. Or a microphone. If you have any questions at any point in time, just raise your hand, and we'll answer them as we go through the agenda. So before we get started, I want to make an announcement. So has anybody seen an email from help@mybroadwayvillage.com mentioning the dues?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have? Okay. So what? There's some mistaken information in there. That was on our part. I did send out a correction email this morning. You only owe $54 in March if you've lived here since January 1st, 2017, and were paid up through December 31st, 2018, and then not pay January or February. In any other case, we have to make adjusting entries, and then if you need to know what your actual balance is, you can contact me or Jeff Weaver, which I put in the email. Yes, sir.
Well, my question is, will we get a credit?
We paid
And
90.
what we I've already paid.
I've already
Yes, you'll get, yeah, if you paid 90 for March,
That's what I.
and you actually only owe 54, you'll get a credit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we can just pay 54 each as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Right, yeah. Yeah. If you lived here since January 2017 and were totally paid up through December 31st, 2018, and did not pay January, February. If you have to pay January and or February, then your credit extends out a little bit more, which we can adjust that. Does that make sense?
Will they deduct that on next?
Yes.
It will be deducted.
Yeah, correct. Jeff Weaver and I this week, we'll be going through and auditing, well, this week, it probably is next week. We're going to be auditing all the account balances to make sure proper credits were given, and we'll be notifying the homeowners. Okay, what your balances are.
I'm not getting any emails. I put my email address up there on the sign-in, so
Good.
I said I'll be getting them.
I've got the new listing now. I'll update it. And I'm glad if there's anyone in here that doesn't have a current email, or you're not receiving emails from us, please put your email address up there so we can get it to you.
Yeah, and that was one of the reasons we asked for the email address, so that we can compare it against what we have. If anybody's missing, we'll put it on. So with that said, we have the reading and approval of minutes from the February 2nd meeting. We have two options here. Would the homeowners like to have the meetings read over, or would you just like the board to approve them and then send them out?
Yes.
Good. Good. We'll get rid of that then. I thought that might be simple. Okay. So our next thing will be the financial status and presentation of proposed budget for 2019. Jeff, would you like to go to current financial status as far as money in the bank and stuff?
Currently, right now, we have approximately, approximately 45,000 in our regular checking and 150,000 in reserves. we went ahead and moved that 150 from the general operating account over to the reserves. One, because it pays higher interest, 1.5%, and two, we will use that reserve fund in the future to make capital improvements on the property. So that's why it was done. It'll be able to be tracked and traced easier that way. The general operating fund, from time to time, we will move funds over to the reserves so that we can allocate those monies for capital improvement or any other expenditures that need to be made. Any questions there? And something else, on the general accounts, or I should say the regular operating fund, that also earns interest, not as much. I think it's like 0.5, but it does also earn interest. That's better than the old accounts that we did have in where I don't even think on the reserves it was earning any interest, or beginning was like 0.5. Now we should be getting, I think we calculate somewhere in the number of $1,400, $1,500 a year in interest that we'll be earning.
Oh, minimum.
Yeah.
Minimum, whereas the prior board was, because they had in such either non-interest or very low interest bearing accounts, we were making like $250 a year. Now it's going to be over a couple grand between the two accounts. Actually.
Between the two accounts, it
Yeah.
should be close to $2,000 a year just in interest. We're going to have the money working for us. And of course, like I said, we have
That's it.
in our reserves, we have enough now to cover any capital expenditures that are in the works. It's coming that you'll hear in the budget that is about to read off. It looks like, yes, ma'am.
I just have a question on, some of these words has come up on that highlighter. So what is that? It says 2,000 backward on the highlighted and titled.
Oh, pro forma, the pro forma budget.
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to go over all that.
But what's the last word?
Proposal.
The proposal.
Well, there's some notes on that.
Oh, these are little notes to myself. On Excel, I don't know how many of you use Excel. There's a place there where you can put a note to self, like, okay, adjust as needed. This is where this number came from, that kind of thing. Normally that wouldn't show up. You know, I can run my cursor over it and say, okay, this is where that came from. It's a note to self. That's all it is. But I'm glad they're up there, actually. Okay, I don't know, can you all see this?
Probably better than the copy we handed out. It's real small print.
Hey, sorry about the copies, that's my bad. When I tried to do a regular page, we had 3 pages each. I was like, oh my God, I don't know if these people want to live on this. Okay, so on the left column, you see your revised budget proposal. On the right is the pro forma. The pro forma budget represents a normalized budget for the year. Basically, that's the best way to put it. The regular budget is going to be slightly lower or adjusted. It will be skewed from your pro forma because your pro forma represents what a normal year would look like. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you're a little bit over my head.
Oh, that's all
When
right.
you say normalized budget,
Yes, ma'am.
what's the difference between a normalized budget and a revised budget?
Okay.
A regular budget?
That's a good question. No, it's a good question. A normalized budget would basically be if no unusual expenses or unusual revenues were through the year, that's what the number would be. This number up here, your revised, the column on the left represents roughly actual. We had reduced revenues this year.
That's good.
Okay, here we go. We had reduced revenues this year.
Do you want me to move it around a little bit more? Keep you on your toes?
Yeah. The reduced revenues was because, as you all know, the dues were increased illegally by $9 every month.
Yeah.
So we're having to do a credit for those 2 months to give those back to the homeowners. So instead of the pro forma, which represents what it would normally be, we have reduced revenues. Does that Does that answer your question? Okay.
Kathy? you have-
So I just have a question. The way you came up with the figures on the plan, is that based on prior years? Is you an average or a mean, or how?
That's basically what it is. It's an average, and what we did, we took $90, which is everyone's dues, times the normal number of homes. That would be your performance.
And is that what you did for all the expenses?
That's roughly what we did. We had some unusual expenses that will come about. You could probably help me on that, like on our capital improvements. Those will slightly be different because of, well, basically, we were neglecting the property.
Right.
Yeah, so so in some instances, we were able to take the history and carry it over based upon, you know, our current contracts or what we've been getting bids on. But in other cases, since in the past, our government documents were being followed as far as maintenance and things like that, we basically just had to, we had no history and said, okay, now we have to do this. So we had to start basically, it's from zero-based budgeting is what it's called, because you have no history on that, because it wasn't done before.
Unlike our government, who just increases spending every year,
Yeah.
everything was actually thought about here.
So do these income figures make sense, the assessment income to everybody?
Does that help? So
Okay.
if we had normal figures, that's what the right side represents.
So
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. So with no increase in dues, that's going to be our assessment income budget for 2020. And that's what it would have been if we didn't have to give the credits.
For the purchase.
Right.
And so
For the
all that's
overcharges.
credits. All that's credits.
These are,
Right, the difference, that's correct.
the difference is credit, that's right.
Right, we basically lost 2 months worth of income.
Let's see.
How many houses are there?
194.
How many?
194.
So, you can kind of scan down, see the smaller amounts. We'll go to total operating income. The pro forma, or a normal year, would be $214,000 is what we would do for the year. However, the revised budget proposal, because of the credits, is 178, is probably what we'll take in. Now we'll move down to, anyone have any more questions on operating revenue?
Income section.
So on the late fee income,
Yes.
so it's 300 was what was proposed, and you anticipate that we will get more late fee income? 600?
Well, under a normal year,
Under a
because,
normal
yeah, because if you recall in the correspondence we've sent out, because we're going through this transition,
year? Right.
we said we're not going to charge late fees, we're not going to charge collection fees until, you know, the board is satisfied, the homeowners are satisfied that we have all the current systems up and running properly. Because since we're really going through corporate restructuring and going into a new operating system.
Does that answer? Okay, so basically, on that number, normally there'd be $600 in late fees. However, because we're negating, or we're saying it's no late fees, because we're going through a change, we're not going to punish our homeowners for that change. So we took basically 6 months, just half, and said that should be plenty of time for us to get all of our AR, all of our accounts in order. Then from that point forward, we'll go ahead and start getting late fees. And that's why it's lower.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Any other questions on operating revenues? Okay, then we'll move on down to expenses. We went ahead, I highlighted some areas that might be interesting. The reserve study, that was a study that the old board felt that we needed to do. I forgot how much they wanted to charge for that, Sam.
$2,000.
$2,000. We like that claim. We're not going to do that. The reserve study in essence, what that does is it says, okay, if we have X number of homeowners, this is how much, for lack of a better term, equity each homeowner has. Sam, well, I have two accounting degrees. Sam's got a finance degree. I think put together we could do our own study and save the association $2,000. So that's why I thought that was interesting. Legal fees, you'll see on the actual, be about 7,500 versus 5,000. Of course, you all are probably aware of why those variances are happening there on the legal fees, or if you have any questions. Okay, Sam, maybe you could address that.
Well, the legal fees, we're expecting a little bit more legal fees because of prior boards' improprieties, going after them. I'll give you just the biggest example. In fighting the homeowners last year, and for them trying to, stay on the board, because, scratching point or whatever, they spent $30,000 over budget in legal fees of the HOA's money.
To protect
To
themselves.
protect themselves, and we want to try and get some of that money back.
That's why I thought it might be better for Sam to
So
explain
how much
that.
is it gonna cost us to try to get that money back? How much is it gonna cost us to try to get that money?
Well, we don't have an exact figure yet.
Okay.
It depends on if we have to go to court. If we have to go to court, it could be $4,000 to $5,000. If they respond to a demand letter, it could be less or settle out of court.
They're probably not gonna do that this time. They would have done that by now.
Well, yeah, we offered them a settlement out of court, but they. So, but we would get those legal fees back then. If the judgment is in our favor, they would have to pay our attorney's fees in addition to that. Yes, ma'am.
Do they still have our money?
That's a good question too. So I found out recently, that was kind of disturbing. VCM terminated their contract as of 12/31/18. Me and Jeff went to VCM on January 11th, 2018. They told us to come, pick up all the records, and they would turn over all of our monies at that time. We have a signed document from one of their employees saying all monies were turned over at that time. Recently, 2.5 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago.
Jeff gets 3 checks out of the blue from VCM. So we asked them, we thought the accounts were closed. And VCM said, no, they weren't. And I said, well, the board didn't authorize you to keep them open. You had no authority. And we found out, apparently, that the owner of VCM initiated debit transactions after the termination of their contract. So our attorney's aware of it. I reported it to the Better Business Bureau, and I'm asking for a resolution that they give us all monies that are due to us as of the 12/31/18 bank statements. Because that's when they terminated their contract, and that's when they were supposed to turn over all the monies at that time. They had no authority to keep them open. They had no authority to take money out of them after that point in time.
How much was it? They sent you checks for?
They said that's something else that's kind of strange. It was a total of roughly $3,000.
That they sent you.
That they sent 3 separate checks. Now, here's what's gets even a little more twisted. The bank that they used, we were going to use, but changed our minds. The bank there, they no longer had signing authority. We notified them and gave them the minutes of when the officers quit, when we started, when we were all voted on, everything. I think we even submitted their signature cards. So the bank knew also that they were no longer authorized, they no longer had authorized signing power on the accounts, but they did it anyway. So there's a couple of different little facets in all of this mess. One is the bank side, but the other is VCM.
But the money's been returned, that they did the debits on?
Well,
No.
as far as we know, here's the thing, we don't have the statements bank statements to look at, to really analyze and make sure I've got a trail of where all the funds came back to us as of this moment. And I'm not saying this is fact, there could be more. But I don't have the bank statements to prove either way. So I think that's probably something the attorney, or someone's got to work on, is requiring them to send those documents to me. So I can
So-
contacted our attorney and asked him to do that?
So, well, he's aware of it. I CC'd him on the email to Amber Anderson. So he's aware of it. I'm trying to save the HOA money by going through the Better Business Bureau first, because they'll do it for free.
Okay.
And if they'll come to a resolution between me and us and BCM, which they always ask for a resolution. And my resolution was, we want all our monies as of 12/31/18 as per the bank statements. We want that total. So if they respond to the BBB and do that, we don't have to go to the attorney and spend money.
What's it going to take to get the bank statements for 2017 or 2018? Don't we need those?
We will eventually, once the audit starts up. We did sign a audit letter to have audits done for 2016, 2017, and 2018. And the reason we have to go back 3 years is because 2016, the audit the auditors couldn't render an opinion because the prior board refused to turn over bank statements. So basically, those numbers don't mean anything. Then in 2017, they transferred all the monies from North Dallas Bank to Alliance Bank. And we don't know, and since the 2016 audit, the auditors didn't have the bank statements, we don't know if all the monies got transferred over to Alliance. And then the other odd thing is, in 2017, the prior board switched auditors from a company we had been using for well over 15 years. Because they couldn't go back to that company because the company would say, well, we're not going to do another audit because we couldn't render an opinion on this audit. So we have to, and that's why we have this big figure here, where is it, for audit, tax and audit. Because that's going to be 3 years of audit, which is going to cost us actually about $4,500, and we added in another $3,000 because we just don't want a top-line audit, because we're finding more and more improprieties that the prior board did. For example, I don't know how many people have seen our pool. The pool deck's not that big, okay? The board spent $27,000 to resurface that pool deck. $27,000, and it was by
pool for that much.
it was by far by $12,000. It was the largest bid. The company appears doesn't to exist. It looks like a fake invoice. There's no city, nothing. We've looked into this. We had a contractor come out and said that to resurface that pool deck, which should have only cost between $3,000 and $4,000. Correct, Sam? Yeah. So these are the types of things we're finding that we want the auditors to look into to track them down. That's why we put extra money in the audit budget.
Go ahead.
Shouldn't there be criminal charges filed in
That sounds like.
Yes.
Once we know what was done,
Yes.
once we know exactly what was done, then it can be taken to the district attorney's office.
Right.
Exactly.
It's a two-pronged approach. One, it's fraud,
Right.
and two, it's a civil matter also. Right.
So is there any way that you guys are going to try to, like, when you say you offer us them to settle, are you going to offer, say, hey, do this, and then we won't press charges with all this stuff?
That I don't know. We're not at that point. I'm going to let the board's attorney guide us on that. We did set up, Kathy, you weren't here, but we set up an audit committee last time, and we had one meeting. We should be having another meeting rather soon.
Carolyn is our chairman of that committee.
Yeah, Carolyn Mosley's actually our chairman of that committee.
And you may remember that nasty security guard.
Yes.
About $700. And we want somebody else to pay for that. So, in my opinion.
But I've also been in contact with the deputy city attorney of the city of Garland. I was referred to him last year already when I was finding things, and he just sent me an email back this morning responding to an email of mine on some of the illegal foreclosures, but I didn't have a chance to read what he said in it, so I don't have any information.
Will you repeat how much you said it cost to resurface it?
$27,000. And all they did was put adhesive and throw gravel on it. And the space is not that big. It's small, yeah.
And it was all coming off.
And it's all coming off, and it's only been used for 2 summers.
Wow.
So we don't even know if we have a warranty on it.
We don't even know if the company exists.
Yeah, there's no, they have a website on their invoice, but the website doesn't exist. The city they claim on the invoice that they operate out of, that city doesn't exist.
Damn.
Yeah.
I've tried to contact the company and I've left voicemails and also emailed back. There's an email thread from between Cara and that company. So I've emailed, I've left voicemails to try to find out if there's any warranty information, and I'm just not getting it. Yeah,
The old,
yeah, I mean, that would be in the records, I'm sure, would have had to been, I'm sure the president. So that's my probably.
Wallace.
No, no. I mean, but you're gonna follow through.
Yeah.
So
That's all I want.
that
Yeah, yeah, we're going to get our attorney on him on a few matters because I've contacted him for records. I've contacted him for warranties on the siding.
The old attorney?
No, the board.
Oh,
The board, and they don't respond. They just don't give me any information.
When we get down to the expenditures, can we talk about siding and replacing the ones that's fallen? I mean, that should be on there.
Yes, it is. It is.
And Sam, just one more question. I know you pay for a lot of the attorney fees. Have you been reimbursed?
Okay, well, that's where this is. You see, it's a one-time item. It's not going to occur again. So I totaled up how much, not just I spent, because a lot of homeowners chipped in. In fact, I got the receipt book here, and as Jeff was talking, I counted up. I had 29 homeowners chip in.
Stepped up.
Huh?
They stepped up.
Yeah, 29 homeowners. And out of the 7,600, 29 homeowners contributed $4,680. So we put this in the budget. Of course, we want to hear from the homeowners because it's coming out of your dues. But this would be to pay back my out-of-pocket expense, you know, not to be paid for what I did, just my out-of-pocket expense, and then pay back the homeowners who chipped in.
And how much did the homeowners contribute?
4,680 among the 29 homeowners.
Out of the 7,600?
Out of the 7,600, so basically I spent $3,000 on my own. Are there any questions or concerns? Are there any issues with your dues being spent to reimburse these people?
And now keep in mind, if we're able civilly to get those funds back, that'll go right back into the accounts.
He's talking about the $30,000 that the prior board spent trying to fight it, the homeowners.
So that our attorney's working on that, because that's what the legal, where do you see, because I, okay, you
Okay,
said
that legal,
45,000,
that's in this number,
7,600.
to 7,500.
Okay, so so how long is that gonna take him? Like, I mean, are we just like, is he really working on it, or I mean?
Right now, no, because we have to gather more information for him, and then have a sit-down meeting with him.
And that will be done after the audits are performed?
Probably bingo. Yeah, that'll probably be at a time, would you say, Jeff?
I would say.
And when are the audits gonna be, like, what, I see you said 2016, 17, and 18, right?
Right.
So who's, are we?
The auditing firm has been contracted. That is slowly moving forward, and they're going to start asking us for documents soon. And we're going to empower them with the right to ask for banking documents and everything else to pull those into a formalized audit. It's really a forensic audit. It's more like what it's going to be.
Yeah, it's not just to be a top-line audit. I mean, they're going to be looking at, such as that invoice for $27,000 and tracking things down.
We've already contracted them.
Yeah, I already signed the contracts.
So, go ahead, Sue. Sorry. I guess that's, okay.
Moving on, I guess?
Sorry.
Move on.
Move on, yeah. Any other questions with regards to, okay, now we're going down to, so there's your total professional and administrative, 28,000 is the budget that's, we're anticipating, the pro forma, or what it would normally be, is 13. So we move on down. Then we've got social events. We're planning to spend more on social events than we have in the past. The reason why, there wasn't enough community involved, we feel. And what there was limited, to say it. Then we've got, for the meeting rooms. Okay, now we go down to contract services. There's our maintenance contract. That's how much we spend per year on the landscaping, sprinkler contract maintenance, and the pool contract. Any questions? Go ahead.
What's the meeting?
I'm sorry.
Are those the same people that we had before?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Sam, did you want to address it? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sam.
Do you want to talk about it now?
Did you
Now,
We're not, I mean, we like to see the budget, so. Well,
well, they're
Go.
not done with the budget.
yeah, well, let's finish with the budget first, that's true. So, but no, it's a brand new landscaping company. That's going to be starting April 1st. Yes, ma'am.
Are they gonna handle the things that you said the other company was supposed to be handling, like planting grass and fertilizer and?
Yes.
They all?
Yes, yeah, they're also going to be filling in dirt in areas where we need dirt filled in, things like that, where we don't have anything growing. I'm sure you've all seen, we got fair lots all over the place.
Now, is this for the homeowners or just for our,
Middle area.
For the homeowners, their front yards.
The pool contract, what does that do? So you the pool, work, the chemicals, et cetera?
Right. Yeah, they come out, clean the pool, make sure the chemicals are balanced.
So just the $200 for the meeting, what was that, under community activities? What was that?
I think that's for like a Sunday.
Yeah, the $200 is just to provide snacks and drinks for our meetings.
Okay, gotcha.
Are the new people the ones that are gonna cut the trees down?
Cassandra will address that during her time, yeah. She's been getting bids on this. Oh, but I can answer that question. The current contractor
Yeah.
that we have, I gave them 30-day notice. They're going to be gone the end of March.
Okay.
So, no, they're not cutting down
That's
anything.
what I think the new people will be.
Yeah, the new people will be
Okay.
doing it.
Good.
Right.
Any other questions with regards to landscaping? All right, grounds maintenance. You see the pool contract, okay, there you've got tree and shrub maintenance. That was one of the questions that came up.
That's the landscape people that do all that, right? The landscape.
They will be doing it, but we broke it into a different category so it could be tracked easier. Does that?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Boat
Okay.
storage, and no money involved in that, boat storage?
Boat storage is up above, it's in revenues.
Okay.
It's in revenues, but
You still charge though, I mean.
yeah,
This
for
would be
revenues,
for
but
any-
Oh, I see what you said, I'm sorry about it.
But we have no expenses because, I don't know how many people have seen the boat storage area. It needs capital improvements. So that's actually going to come out of our reserve because it's not a normal operating expense.
Okay.
And then once we get the new fencing up and everything, then to maintain it, minor repairs, stay in it every 2 years.
New fencing around the boat storage?
Yep,
Great.
yep,
Needs it.
That's payment, but.
yeah, it is. It looks
I
horrible.
don't know, I think that space that's like, yeah, okay.
Okay.
Community maintenance. There's structural repairs, electrical repairs, painting maintenance, the 46.
What do you think?
That's going to be the homes.
My house wasn't painted the last go round.
Mhm.
Is the same company gonna be providing this service or is it another company?
Well, we're kind of in the middle of that right now. We really haven't decided. Well, what would the homeowners like the new company? I mean, I'm happy with them. Painted.
The painters,
Yeah, Tom's traditional.
So is this the whole community that paying?
So the trim of the
They're not
houses.
doing two houses a month or something?
But it's through the year. It's gonna be for the entire
And it'll
year.
be the entire community?
Well, for a certain number of houses during the year.
Well, they showed on their list that your house was painted last year
Was I not there?
or the year before.
No,
I don't know.
last year.
Does-
What I'll have to do is look up your invoice. I'll look up your invoice.
I wouldn't have thought
But,
I think it was,
that. You said.
how many houses a month, Sam? I can't remember actually. How many houses are painted a month?
okay, 200 divided by 40 a year.
40 a year?
Yeah. So this number represents painting 40 houses a year. Assuming we have to repaint a house once every 5 years. Yeah, they're charging us about $11.50 a house to paint.
But the association buys the paint, right? Is that including the paint?
Yeah, that includes the paint, the labor,
And it's just the trim, right?
on the houses that are sided. On the other houses, it includes the whole house.
So, but that's not that many homes.
No, it's not. Right, that's,
So,
yes.
it's just a paint the trim, it's about.
Yes,
Do
ma'am.
we have to request for them to come in to look at painted or what they do with that block? By screens?
Well,
Because my house hasn't been painted since before my side.
and what's
That was way
your,
back in
what's your address?
204, 205, for 17, 17.
417 San Diego. Okay.
We can look back on the paint schedule and I have the paint schedule.
Do you, okay.
40,
Because I just-
46.
Because I did a walkthrough and I just, because I wasn't sure if we were staying with the same painting contractor.
40 and 46, $1,300 a house. I'm sorry, Sam.
That's, just don't want us talking over each other.
No, go ahead.
I did a walk through the neighborhood based upon current painting contractors list of what houses he did not do. And I, because I wasn't sure if we want to stay with him or not. You don't want to stay with him? Oh, you should, yeah.
No.
But I sent him,
Just so much, I can't hear what you're saying.
yeah, so what I did was I pinpointed 5 homes that, just from visual inspection, needed it the most. And those letters are being sent out, but I can send out a letter, or just get you on the list and we can meet with you and get you.
So this, okay, so before we had a schedule, when you got your house painted, are we not doing that schedule? Because how do I know?
We still calling the signing schedule?
Right. I mean, because my house hasn't been painted in a long time, so I just wondered, just because it doesn't look like it. I mean, how do you determine whose house is going to be painted? Don't we have a schedule?
Well, we do have a schedule. My thinking was, and y'all can disagree with me, I mean, that's what we're here for, because we're here to serve you. You know, my thinking was that we would do a visual inspection, because if one house, you know, there's rotted wood, the paint's already coming off, but there's another house that the paint still looks fine, even though this house is supposed to come up in the schedule first before this house. I'd rather do this house first.
that's right.
Yeah, and then do this house.
Absolutely.
And not use the same, not just go by a rotation, but go by need.
Shake them out.
Will that be okay to begin with, to get us up to where we want to be, but then we've got to be on rotation. We're not, some people are going to be getting all the attention because they don't take care of their places.
I agree with you. Right, they would get more treatment, they wouldn't take care of their house. I take care of
Well,
my house, but I still want to.
Yeah, but nobody paints their trim, do they? I mean, that's what we're talking about.
Right.
Trim, yeah.
I need repair work on my house. Because right now, right in the front of it, half my poles are just running away.
And you didn't get a letter from me?
I didn't, it doesn't come to my house. It didn't come to my house.
Oh, that's right. Okay. That's right, I don't think I saw anything to this.
I haven't been in the mail. When did you send the letter?
No, I don't think I sent one to you.
I do, And originally it was stated that each homeowner had up to $250. Is that still how it would go, or is that out the window and something else is going to take its place?
It's out the window.
Okay.
In fact, Mark, can you pull up the mybroadwayvillage.com website? And go to HOA policies, and then go down to all policies. Click on CC&R. And scroll down.
You going?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think I missed it.
Maintenance of the common property?
No, individual properties. Duties and, okay, keep going. It's further down, Here it is. Okay, so general, stay right here for a second. This is from our covenants, conditions, and restrictions. These were voted in by the homeowners, and this is what the homeowners want enforced. Okay, it's not the board's job to pick and choose what they enforce and what they don't enforce. Prior boards have done that. We're not going to do that. This is a legally binding document between the HOA and the homeowners. So, Section 1, powers and duties. The board, for the benefit of the properties and the owner, shall provide and shall pay out of the maintenance fund provided for in Section 1 of Article 5 above the following. B, exterior maintenance on each lot in accordance with Section 3 of this Article 6. Now go down to Section 3, Mark. Section 3, there it is. Lots improvement exterior maintenance. In addition to the maintenance of the common properties, out of the maintenance fund provided for in Section 1 of Article 5, the association shall provide exterior maintenance upon each lot in accordance with the following. For the purposes of effectuating this Section 3, exterior maintenance consists of and is limited to paint and repair. Further, repair encompasses replacement of a portion of any component or system only as necessary to accomplish the adequate repair of such component or system, but does not consist of the replacement of all or substantially all of the component or system in question, such as the roof, the fencing, or the driveways and sidewalks of a given lot. So if you got a few shingles falling off, or just a little section where you popped a hole, that's on us, because that's not substantially all of your roof. If you want a whole new roof, that's on you. And then in B, it says the association will provide exterior maintenance to roofs, siding, and trim, and other components of the exterior walls, gutters, and downspouts, fences and gates, and driveways and sidewalks. That's what your HOA dues are supposed to be going for.
The gates, says they're not fence gates.
To maintain them, not to put up a brand new one if you want a brand new one. What? Right, if you have a brand new one, that's on you, because that's...
No, I'm fine with that.
Yes, ma'am.
I have access to only one side of my house. Okay, and so I've never seen the other side of my house, and I don't know what it looks like, and I'm scared to even ask what it looks like.
Yes.
It's not that easy. It's not that easy. So I mean, is that ever going to change, or, where?
You've legally got an 18-inch easement in your neighbor's backyard. They have to allow you access.
Yeah. So,
It doesn't make it easier, exactly, that's the law.
But you have to be a sheriff to enforce it.
I mean, that's what you do. Exactly. It's not fair.
I'm confused in your question. What is that?
So I guess my question is, with that being said, in their fence,
there's like a gate, and so I can take a peek, but if that's all I can see is the other side of the house. Now, I believe that there's waterwork on the other side of the house. I can't prove it, I just hear it on the house. Like something has been nailed in. So, but, again, I can't prove it, but I guess, are we ever gonna change that, and for that marker, will that ever change, or, because, I mean, even just to have someone come and give me a quote, whether there's plumbing, whether there's roofing, or they cannot, even when I bought the house, the guy said, I can't see this side of the house. And so, because they have big dogs over there, no one was there, they have to get out of there. And so.
Well, that would just be a matter of you contacting a board member, and we'll tell them they have to put them in, or we'll cite them, because it's our responsibility to maintain the neighborhood. And if one side of the, homeowner isn't cooperating, we'll make them cooperate.
Because we have a legal right for a certain amount of space on the side of this.
Exactly, and the HOA is legally bound not only by our CCRs, but also by our articles of incorporation. When the original developer first came in, to upkeep the beautification of this neighborhood, the entire neighborhood.
I know that's not going to change.
So getting back to, I think it was Carolyn's question about the $250 limit, that's something that somebody made up somewhere. As you can see, there is no dollar limit, as long as it fits in this category. Now, it does say further along, if you scroll down, and this will just make sense. In G, in the event that the need for exterior maintenance of a lot or any of the improvements thereon is caused through the willful or negligent acts of the owner or their guests, then of course, then it's on the homeowner, it's not on the HOA.
But you see, my situation is that if the pole is coming down on my house, and then it has that little, this will probably be decorative, surrounding the poles. The outer part was painted, but the inner part, the wood was deteriorated, and now the wood has sagged away. And so you can see it's like the paint is stretching out, whereas it should have been painted without being repaired.
Okay. Can you make a note of that, Barbara, for me to check on Carolyn Mosby's house? Because what I've done is I went around with a contractor about a week ago, and we walked the property, and we were noticing all these problems like yours. In fact, we might have known him, I'm not sure, but he's working up a bid, and he's going to get it back to me hopefully this coming week. If not, I'm going to contact him and ask him where the bid is. But it's on all these types of repairs that you're talking about that was neglected before. Like on my house, instead of putting a new fascia board up or even a section, because I had all this rotted wood, they just put spackle on it because that's what the prior board told them to do. Because they said, we're only going to pay $150. And as you can see, there is no dollar limit. And so, I got all this drop. So we are going to go and correct all those things. And if I don't visually see it, or the contractor, bring it to our attention, and I'll add it to the list.
So then can we get a painting schedule? That's really good. Can we add to that? Because we're spending a lot of money, $6,000, right? Can we get a painting schedule?
So do the homeowners want a regular painting schedule?
After we do an as-needed first, I think.
So how long is that? So
I'm thinking.
I'm paying my dues. I'm allowed certain. We've always had a schedule.
Right. Yeah. Well, like I said, because she's actually our chief operating officer. She's handling bids and getting all that stuff on all this. Let's get back to the budget so we can approve this thing real quick. Because
Then we went, okay, so we've gone walls, fences, and gates. Again, you've got your, what we proposed and your performer. Then we've got, again, we've got pool, cabana repairs, that type of thing. Any questions? Okay. Then we've got, these are almost, I wouldn't say fixed, but they're normal costs on the electricity, water, sewer, phone. There's a phone in the pool in case of emergency.
Yes, an excellent one.
Is that also the electrical and the water and sewers, the pool?
Yes,
And the lights.
and the lights. It's all GP now. In fact, I think they send us like 31 bills every month for all the different sprinklers, lights. It's real fun payment, I'll tell you that. Again, here's our umbrella insurances for property liability insurance for the year, property taxes. And finally, we get to our total operating expenses. And this is, I think this is a key point. You've got our regular, or I should say what we're anticipating is 173, 263. The pro forma, or in other words, what the normal budget would be if everything else was normal, is 159.
We still know.
I'm sorry?
Did we have that when the other board was in?
Did we
That's
have?
all directors.
I'm sorry.
Directors and officers.
I'm sorry, say it
That's
one more time.
liability insurance, right?
Oh, the directors and
Oh,
officers.
yeah, officers for them. Does that, would that not come into play with what they did or didn't do?
They're not.
Here's the issue with that, you could address it, or basically, the insurance, if they have an act that was an accident or an accidental omission, then yes, the insurance policies would cover that. However, if there's intent, there you go.
Not just.
Right. In
If
fact,
it's
in
willful.
Financial.
In fact, the last page in our bylaws, the last article, I can't recall if it's Article 12. It's titled indemnification.
That answers the question.
That's it,
Yeah.
indemnification. Okay, so, and one other key point, I'll leave you all alone. All right, so this is what we're anticipating as the reserve that we'll be able to contribute for this year into the reserve funds. But normally, we'd be able to put 55,000 into reserve. So a big chunk of our reserves is taken away because of, well, we're basically going to have to correct errors from the past. So that's what we're doing. Normally, we'd be able to put 55,000 a year back into reserves. This year, we're probably going to be able to put about 5,000. We're still putting money into the reserves, though, even after all the capital improvements we're proposing.
And how much do we have in reserves right now?
150,000, a little bit more, actually, 150 grand. And we're going to be using those for capital improvements, majority. That's what's going to be, or a chunk of them anyway.
So,
We've got a balanced budget.
Okay,
so, did you have something?
I wanted to make a motion.
Oh, proposal.
Okay.
Make
Make
a
a
motion.
motion.
I make a motion that we approve this budget as presented.
And the homeowners have any issue with approving this budget? Okay, motions to the board. Does the board approve this budget? All those in favor? Okay, motion passes. Okay,
All right, any other questions? Any other questions regarding the budget or accounting matters? All right, thank you, guys.
obviously, that took a lot longer than I should have known it was going to. So what we're going to do is we're going to, for now, skip to Cassandra, because she needs to leave pretty soon. And then we can get back to Carolyn. And we're going to catch up on time here, because some of this stuff isn't going to take as much time.
Hi guys, I'm Cassandra. So I'm going to give you just kind of a brief description of things that I'm working on. And I know you guys probably have a lot of questions, so I'm more than open to taking any questions you guys have. Sam has given a 30-day notice to our current lawn maintenance contractor. We will be bringing in outdoor living on April 1st. The owner's name is Christy. She's bought the property. She's a very nice lady. Sam also has been working with an irrigation and lawn contractor. He is going to come in and do a full map of our irrigation system, note all of the things that are wrong with our sprinkler system so we can go ahead and get bids on taking care of that stuff. I am currently getting bids for tree maintenance. We're getting the trees trimmed and getting several trees removed in the community, and also some of the stumps.
Well, the stumps, you said?
Yeah,
Yes.
the stumps. I'm looking at two different options here. I have bids on just tree removal and stump removals for particular properties. And I also have bids on a complete maintenance of all of the trees in the community, all 9 streets, and they will remove all of the stumps in the community for free with that contract. So we're just kind of looking at that, and I just gave those to Sam when I walked in today. There's a couple of questions I have for the contractors that I'm going to talk with them about on Monday. So by the end of next week, I should have all of those bids together and turned in. I'm not sure if you guys have seen us out at the pool a lot. I've had a lot of contractors driving the neighborhood. We've been working with some contractors on getting the cabana taken down and putting up a new structure. We're trying to get bids for a full enclosed pool house. The pool deck is going to have to be redone. That's not going to be able to stay there. And we discussed a first phase, which means we're probably, due to budget, not going to be able to do everything at once. So of course, in the first phase, we would want to have the bathrooms completely redone. We're talking about keeping 1 exterior bathroom for people at the pool, and then having 2 interior bathrooms, a men's and a women's, and a small kitchen area for, we can have our meetings there. It would be nice to not have to go anywhere else. So hopefully in the first phase, we can put new fencing around the pool. We're going to have an ADA compliant ramp, key fobs to enter the pool area, and we are going to make the slab bigger and do the bathrooms all in phase 1. That's our plan. Yes, ma'am.
Just in case, because once upon a time I was told that the sprinkler systems may need to be totally replaced. Is that something that you're looking to, or is it?
Yeah, I think when Jesse with Legacy Landscaping comes out and looks at everything, it's probably going to come down to a repair and replace estimate. What's the cost going to be to make the repairs? What's the cost going to be to replace it? I mean, if the system's so old and there's so many problems, there may not be a point in fixing it. It would probably just be better to replace it. But that's something that we're going to have to determine after we get a report back from our probation. Anybody else have questions?
Would you say the name of that, I'm sorry, the name of this? That's going to do lawn service?
The lawn service is going to be outdoor living. I believe they're out of Broadway. The owner's name is Christy. She's also putting in a bid to do the tree maintenance as well. And I know Sam, I don't know if you saw in some of the bids, one of those trees that they're going to remove, the sprinkler system there is going to have to be redone.
Okay.
Yeah, just the tree is so big, there's no way. Yes, sir.
Cassandra, when the decision is finally made on the lawn maintenance, would it be possible for us to have something in writing kind of stating the duties that we're hiring them to do?
Absolutely.
And also maybe a phone number that we can contact, the owner. In the past, we talked to people, when they come out and do the work. And, a lot of times, we'll see about it. They're just, employees.
Let me tell you why, because they were subcontracted.
Yes, I
They didn't even
understand.
belong to the company that we were contracted with.
Right, so if we could, mean, we have an understanding of what we're hiring these folks to do. We'll know what to look for, and also if we have some concerns that we feel like we need to pass on to the company, we'd like to, see that as a possibility.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. And her staff has been so responsive. They're awesome. I give her deadlines, tell her I need bids by a certain date. I always have them on time. And Christy really came out and spent a lot of time with me and Sam that day on the property. She came out on the weekend. She was very nice. And all the contractors that we're looking into are also going to offer discounts to homeowners. The tree bids that I'm getting, all of the contractors have offered either a 15 to 20% discount for homeowners on their backyard trees. And so the same thing is going to happen with the lawn service. I'm not sure of the percentage yet, but the lawn people will also, while they're on the property, offer a discount for you to do your backyard.
Good.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a suggestion. I don't have trees, or it's just general. But you've gone over and looked at things that you think need to be done. That's not necessarily what every homeowner is going to say. So almost in a way for protection for the board, could you put out something ahead of time and say, if you have a problem, let us know. That way you know that the two things are corresponding, and you all aren't going to get people coming back to you later when you think you're done with this, and they come back and say, well, you didn't do mine.
Right. Well, individual homes, of course, will be handled on a case-by-case basis. The contracts that I'm working on now are for the whole community. I think they said that we had, that was over 39 big trees in the front yards and common areas. So, it's a community thing, and those are big numbers. So that's why we're making sure that we get 3 bids for each thing that we're working on, which is required. So we're getting 3 bids, we're looking through the scope of work, making sure that the numbers line up. But anything for a particular home, Sam?
Yeah,
Do you put in a work order on top,
Yeah.
or what would they do?
Yeah, what we'll do is we'll notify the homeowner in advance, get with them, tell them, our concerns and what our contractor saw, and then really work it out with the homeowner. We don't want to go in and just start taking things out without.
My concern is for the person, say that you look at it, don't see anything wrong. You're all through with this, and then somebody comes back and says, well, you didn't do mine. I don't want y'all to be put in that position, so that's why we'd like to, if you put out something generally, and so if we haven't already talked to you, please notify us.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So that nobody,
Okay.
As a protection for you, I don't have a tree, so I'm not concerned about it, but I know that those things happen, and y'all don't need that harassment.
Right. No, that's an excellent thing.
So how would we handle that, Sam? Would there be a mail out, or would we just
Yeah, I think we
send
can
out
just do a
general
mass email
Mass
and say,
email?
this is what we're working on. If you feel, your tree's a problem, or if you have other issues, like we talked about, Carolyn and stuff, that way we can have a list. Yes, Sharon?
Not everybody has an email.
Right, well-
Sioux Shore doesn't have an email.
That's why I was kind of
Right,
going
well-
for the tops work order.
Well, I'll do what I did for this meeting. What I did was, everybody who had an email, I sent out an email notice. Then everybody who didn't have an email, I sent out a regular mail by postage. Yeah, so I'll do the same thing.
Could I ask one question? You know what they're gonna put a plug in for the boat storage and all this, for the store boats and whatever?
I have the bids from the previous board, who were looking into putting electrical outlets there, so we can revisit that, Sam.
Yeah, we haven't made a decision on that
To
yet.
get the boats off the driveways and all that.
Right.
Because they have to pull them up,
Right, into their house in order to charge them
Plug in
and
all,
stuff.
yeah.
And then we have issues too, if somebody's working on their car back there, working on something, and they need electrical outlet for a power tool,
Yeah.
they don't have that.
They were
So,
supposed to do that, several months ago.
Right.
I think that what we decided, that homeowner said that we didn't think that was like a great expense at that time, because we didn't understand why we would pay for somebody's boat to have electricity.
Weren't the bids like really high though?
I don't know. Cassandra, do you remember what the bids were on that?
No, they're in Target. I think I only saw one bid though. I don't think she had 3.
We can table that for now, and, you know, the board's not gonna make a decision until we come back with the homeowners with the bids and things like that. Because we want homeowner input, obviously, before we make any decisions.
We're trying to get the bigger contracts out of the way. I mean, you know, spring is here. So getting the lawn stuff handled is a big deal. We need to make sure that we have the right companies in place to take care of that. And Christy is gonna go through everything. I mean, she really was awesome. I wish that you all could have had a one-on-one with her. I mean, she was really good. So you can tell she's passionate about what she does. She cares, and she's grown her business, and her customer base has been with her a long time. So that's important. And she's given references, so we're able to contact other communities that she works with.
So, I'm not an outdoor person.
Me
I'm not
neither.
a yard.
Me neither.
I mean, I'm not a weed puller. I don't like bugs. Anyway, so I've been looking for somebody to take care of those things. And I don't know do.
Absolutely.
That's why I'm here. So how are we gonna know? Because every time I try to communicate with those guys coming to the camp, either they don't speak English or they're not qualified to answer.
So Sam, can we send out a mass email letting the homeowners know if they do want personal service like for backyards and stuff to let me know, and we can have Christy?
That's what I was just gonna suggest, yeah. We'll give Cassandra's information out, because she's handling this area, and she'll get it done. You know, if you want that done, Cassandra will make sure it's done.
I can give her your addresses and, yeah, give her your addresses and she'll come by and take a look and give you guys a price on it. But she will offer discounts to us.
Yeah, and it needs to be understood that's your personal expense.
That would be,
Yeah, anything in your backyard is your personal
So
expense.
she'll give us a price list.
Yes. Well, the front yard should be done by the HOA.
Yeah, the front yard's the HOA's
By the
responsibility.
HOA.
I mean, I'm not a weed puller. And I eat weeds full.
Well, so after the first couple of months, if you guys see any issues in the front yards, please let me know and I'll address them with her.
And other things, I don't know what they call those, where the water shut things are. Those guys knocked all the tops off.
yes.
Finally they got lost. I don't know what those homes.
Hopefully that won't happen with our new landscaping company. If it does, they're gonna hear about it.
Might be broken since I moved in.
That's gonna get fixed. We have somebody going out right now, checking every single thing.
Well, the deal on the side of the
You guys have any more questions?
Will the pool be rated on repairs, etc., will the pool condition?
We're trying to get the pool open this year, but we're hoping that we can open it with new bathrooms and all of that good stuff, so.
Ma'am, did you have a question? I thought I heard you, sorry. Okay. Sandra, are you finished?
Yeah, as long as I don't have any more questions.
Okay, thank you, Cassandra. Carolyn, give us a short report on status of the audit committee.
Okay. Now, I don't have the credentials that Sam has or Jim has. However, I have volunteered to try to do my part in reference to the audit. Now, Sam has emailed me the audit report, and I started going over and looking at some of the journal entries that have been made. And right now, I'm going to get with Sam to see how much in depth I may need to go into some of the entries that I might see that we may want to look at. However, there are a couple of properties that I'm on my way down to the city and county clerk's office. I need to follow the title search on them, how it has evolved from owner to owner to owner. And then from there,
that would determine, because it has been stated that some properties have been sold, some titles might not have been registered, who actually owned it, how much they paid for it, what happened to the money. I'm going to be looking into that to report back and see what I find. So that's where I am now in reference to the audit report. And for me, that may take a little time. That's where we are right now, because we met on February the 20th and to get this started. So that's where we are. Yes.
So if the house was taken away, not paid, or whatever, and sold, where does the money come from
That's what I'm
to
looking
pay them back?
That's what I'm looking for.
That's what we,
That's what I need to find out.
yeah, that's what we don't know. In fact, last year, I made multiple records requests to the management company and the board under the property code to track these foreclosures, track where the money went, and they refused to answer.
I'm going to be looking for, you see, but at the top of the page here, when it says GL, that stands for the general ledger, and because that had to be recorded into the books in order to get to the final report. So I may need to see how that was, or was it, actually was the general ledger made for that particular transaction. But anyway, that's where the assignment that I've taken on to try to find out, and I'm going to be trying to do that. So right now, I need to go back to, I have a couple of, Sam has identified a couple of properties in particular, and I'm going to be starting to track who owned it and for how long, et cetera.
Are you auditing dues or are you auditing?
No, at this point in time, no, I'm not auditing dues. That's not something.
We're auditing transfer of ownership.
Transfer of ownership.
Because once the board foreclosed on a house, we don't know who they sold it to. We don't know how much they sold it for. We do know like the end price from public records that they sold the house. The most egregious thank you, example that we came across was the board foreclosing on a home, putting it up for auction. The prior board's attorney buying it for $1,000. Selling it for $180. The HOA owned it at one time for $1,000. It was sold for $180. But we don't know where the money, who made all that money? Where's that all that money? I don't know.
I did go onto the Dallas Appraisal District, looking up some information in reference to a couple of properties. And right now, it shows that we all know who actually owns the property at this point in time. Now, who owned it before that is not on the Dallas Appraisal District. And I'm told that the only place to find it is now in the city records, and I have to go to the city records, and they're downtown Dallas. So that's where I'm going, downtown Dallas.
Oh, wow.
Well, thank you.
Okay, TOPS 1 status. So this is our new operating system that we're converting to. Where we're at with that is we've got all the balances transferred. We got all the financial accounts transferred of people's account balances. So for the next couple of weeks, Jeff and I will be going in, verifying that people's account balances are correct. If we have to make an adjusting journal entry for the credits, or what we need to do for people who had paid some dues. Once we verify those balances, we'll be sending out an invite. It'll go directly to your email if you have email, because this is only if you have internet connection. It won't be for people who don't have internet. And then you'll get an invite link. Set up your account. You'll be able to go right online, see your balance. You can pay off of there, set up an auto debit off of there. If you have a service request to put in, you click service request. It'll go straight to the board, and it'll be a work order tracking process. So that's where we're at with that. So you can expect those emails to be out during this coming month. For people who don't have internet access, we'll be providing the same information, except we'll be sending out paper statements on what your balances are.
Go ahead. So I received this. Is this not what we're supposed to be going by?
No, you can go by that. Everybody received that. Yeah, you can go by that. You can set up your auto debit on that if you want. That's fine. You know, but that,
The dues are $90 still or not?
they're $90. They're not, the dues were $90. We went back to the $90. Now,
I thought you said you're gonna reduce the dues.
That is.
well, we reduced them from 99 to 90. Was what we did. You know, as you can see, if we reduced them anymore, you know, our net operating income for this year is only $5,000. You know, it's possible we could reduce them next year. We got $54,000 in reserves.
Hold it now.
Yeah, I would say that'd be up to the homeowners. You know, if that might put us back on some of the capital improvements we're planning, such as an indoor cabana. But for now, we're just, because we didn't want to roll them back too far, and then say, you know, now we do, we're out of money.
Right.
Yeah.
Could I ask you one thing,
Sure.
Sam? Where is the address that you say we could go up to and pay monthly or whatever?
Do you have the address of the BB&T?
I can find it. It's,
You said up,
it's, okay, you know where, if you go down Broadway, now you need to take your coupon with you.
yeah, I got all that.
Okay. If you go down there to Colonel,
The
what's
what?
it now?
Colonel Street? No, Colonel is by South
Broadway.
South Broadway.
Colonel, okay.
And right there, it's at Colonel and Broadway.
And what's the name of it?
BB&T.
BBAT?
BB and
T.
T.
No, the ampersand sign? The
Across the street from Sylvan's Bar.
It's right across from the Sylvan's Bar. There it is on
It's right
the
across the
first.
street
Oh,
from
he just had it.
Sylvan's Bar.
Yeah. There you go.
And you can just drive through the drive-through, because I did that this year, this
Yep.
week.
It's on the west side of the street, guys. On the west side.
West side, okay.
If
Thank
you
you.
have-
Yeah.
If you have your coupon and your check, you just drive through the drive-through and
Yeah.
Thank you.
There's the address.
Can you?
So I got a little confused.
It's 3431 Broadway.
When I was, you know, I do bill pay online through Chase Bank.
Yes, ma'am.
So I don't use that cute.
I got you.
They send a check, the bank sends a check to the address you receive.
Right.
But I had two different names. I
Okay.
had BB&T in one spot, and another spot I had, I think Broadway Village.
Right. The formal name, or the legal name, and the name that's on our checking account is Two Worlds Broadway.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so when you send your check, that's who you'll make it to, is Two
Well, the
Worlds.
bank is gonna do it, and I, you know,
That's fine.
I fill in those slots.
Right, on
So
your,
I got a little bit turned around, I wasn't sure if I was gonna get accredited, because I just took a chance.
let me, in fact, if memory serves, it's page 2. Let me grab this here. This is your coupon book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And on page 2,
See, on the front page, it says, make checks are payable to, see, on the front page?
Two Worlds Broadway Residents Association.
Yeah,
That's who it should
okay,
be.
but it
And
has the
that's-
same address with different
Right,
names.
right. On page 2, it has your online instructions. When you go to your bank website and you put in the name, it has the payee, the address, everything. So go to page 2 of your coupon book, and it goes in detail, step by step, how to do it. Maybe a little bit hard to read, but it even gives the account number and everything that you need to include on the
I
information.
think I did, but I was concerned about those two different names. I didn't know
That's okay.
BB&T or Two Worlds.
It's Two Worlds Broadway, and really it's in care of BB&T. They're our banking institution.
PPC.
PPC. BB&T.
Okay, so they have system to direct it, your Two Worlds.
What it's doing is BB&T is saying, okay, we handle Two Worlds Broadway's cases. That's why you're making out to Two Worlds Broadway. Is that kind of a little funny?
Kind of, yeah.
Yes.
But that's, as long as either one, they have their coupon, or two, if you have that little serial number, account number that's on page 2, your account, that account number, each person has an individual account number for each one of their accounts.
So by now, if it's not accredited, would you have already notified?
Yes, or I'll tell you what I noticed, because each day, as those, and there's been quite a few I've noticed that have already started coming through the BT, I get a lockbox report, and that lockbox report tells me who sent in the payment, how much it was, their check number, everything. So if I get one, it's, you know, I don't know, or they don't know who it is, they'll put, they notify me. We don't know how to reply to this. And what I'll do is I'll look at where it came from, like either the name of the resident or the address of the resident, and track it back to their account that way.
That's good, because I made mine out to Broadway Village HOA. I don't,
That's fine.
That's fine too, yeah, it'll go straight.
Yeah, because they know we're doing business as Broadway Village.
Okay.
So you're good. You're good. And if you ever have a question, shoot me an email, call me, whatever. Leave a message. I'll look it up. I'll find out where it went if you don't have your record of it.
So if it gets mailed to 2 World Broadway at that address, it doesn't have to be mailed to BB&T?
In theory, it's still being mailed to BB&T. BB&T accepts that mail for us.
Okay.
Our lockbox is under 2 Worlds Broadway. The lockbox is located at BB&T.
Okay.
See what I mean?
And also in the future, once we have TOPS up and running, we won't be sending out coupon books to everybody unless you want one. Only the people who don't have internet access, and that's going to save us a lot of money. So, because you'll be able to just go online, make a payment, see your balance, and that's that.
Would you please let me know, Julie, so if my coupon went through, because I had it set up with Chase Bank, having all my deals.
Okay.
To Broadway Village, to, you know, Broadway Village.
Yeah. She just wants Judy Souls, SOWELLS.
Yeah, please
Okay.
let me know if you received
Yeah, she just wants to
March.
make sure we let her pay. She has it set up.
Yes, I did.
You did.
I did get them because I remember your checks. The name.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay, I think we're up to Mark.
Oh, I'm sorry, you.
Right? Okay.
Promoter Communications. Okay, we don't have much time, I won't take much time. Sorry for the wrinkled shirt, I thought I was larger.
This is Saturday.
Yeah, it's Saturday, all right. Okay, the concept we have is that we're a business. And business should have easy-to-use ways to communicate with their customers. You are our customers. So I'm proposing that we have one phone number that you guys would have to call for anything. We have one email address that you could use for anything. We have one website you can go to for anything. And that you don't have to contact all of us individually, because this last week I was contacted by at least 6 people. That's not any fun. So I want to have a PBX is very expensive. If you've been in business, they're expensive to buy and own. Well, they have, just like our top system, they have PBXs now in the cloud. So, and you pay by the pound. In other words, for every person who needs to that PBX in the cloud. You pay like $30. All you care about is the phone number. And when you call in, it'll say if you have an emergency, call 911. Yes.
I'm sorry. What is a PBX?
It's the switchboard, okay, that companies have, but they're going without it. So that's, when you call a company, you really don't know what's happening. It used to go to a PBX, it used to be a switchboard. Now we go to these virtual PBXs. So all you care about is you have one phone number. And that phone number, you go in there, and it works just like when you call your doctor. Okay? It says, if this is a real emergency, call 911. If it's not a real emergency, 911 will tell you that, and then you can call us, and if it's an urgent issue, please dial 9 and leave a message. And then you can hang up. If it's just something else, you just leave a voicemail and it will find us and let us know. And on the emergency or the urgent, non-emergency, that system in the cloud, you sit there and call up all the people on the board and the committees in row or in groups saying someone thinks something's wrong. Like a sprinkler is shooting up out of the thing and lots of water going everywhere. And you just tell them. Then we would have one person who would be responsible with a backup for setting that up in the cloud. But all you would care about is one phone number. And it works just like any other business. And if Sam wants you to contact him, he will give you an extension. And you will contact him by using that one phone number and entering an extension. And we have all the voicemails. And we can redirect calls, urgent calls. It can start calling individual phones. It can send text messages. It can receive text messages. It can receive faxes. It can send faxes. But that all costs something. Nobody gives us that for free. I talked to the company into giving us 2 months for free so we could get it set up. And I told Sam, said, I don't know, this could cost maybe $150 a month. But you have one telephone number you have to worry about. And I said, can you imagine? We could put that telephone number on our site. We could put it on the website. And we would actually own that phone number. And so when boards change or management companies change or anything like that, you still don't have to have that one phone number. And I talked to the board and I said, wouldn't it be great if we send out refrigerator bags to everybody and have the website, this telephone number, and an email address on it, so you can put that sucker on your refrigerator and you can just go to it and call the phone. What do you guys think? Okay. So is it okay if we spend some money to do this?
It'll be about, what, $2,000 a year?
Yeah.
Is that the number or is that an approximation?
It's an approximation because we don't know how many people we want involved in this. You know, because that's who you pay for. You don't pay for the number of phone numbers. I mean, those are free. But see, someone has to receive that phone. So it might be Sam, Barbara, Kim, Jeff. They may get that phone number because we may have an option that says, if this is about your dues, press 2. And then Jeff, or I've even put forth the concept that we have a communications officer on our officers list, and they would have an assistant, and it seems to be their job to look at the email, the voicemails, and everything to make sure it's getting handled. So, if you're okay with that.
I have a question. How does this integrate with putting through maintenance requests on TOPS?
TOPS integrates totally differently, but TOPS has its own internal methods for doing that. So, the person in charge of communications might be in charge of that, looking at work orders, seeing if they're getting done. But you have You have your phone number, your website, email address.
And what we could do, Kim, and Mark, correct me if I'm wrong, let's say a service request comes through our main line, we're all admins on top, we can go into that person's account, put the service request in for them, correct?
Make it work.
Right, because some people are, they're only gonna be able to access us by telephone.
Yeah, that's right. But every business needs a telephone number. And they need to own that telephone number. And we've never owned a telephone number. And I'm suggesting that we own the telephone. And that this association controls what happens with that telephone.
Mark, we have a question over here.
I have a comment. Are we that complicated?
Well,
Actually,
that actually was sort of my question. I
I
mean,
don't think we're that complicated.
good idea.
I don't think there are that many of us.
Will you give me your phone?
Sure,
And you want everybody to call you?
fine.
And you will let us own your phone. So
No.
No,
Why
no.
do we have to own the phone number?
Let's go pay for it.
because, I mean,
Why do we have to own the phone number?
That's
Yeah, I
just
mean-
so that someone doesn't get upset and leave like they did on the website.
It's a great way to communicate with all of us.
It's a standard business practice. That's why I promote it. Would you want to do business with someone who doesn't have a phone? And that phone number didn't stay the same?
I mean, I personally don't mind taking phone calls from residents and have them having my phone number.
Yeah, but that didn't get.
Let me tell you something.
Okay, let's take a couple questions first. This lady back here first, then you, Carolyn, okay?
The 150, that's an estimate, right?
I think that's probably the high end.
Okay, so how many telephone calls would you, is that estimate based
Unlimited. When I asked them what our limit was, they said there's no limit.
on? So that would be the maximum we would take on.
Unless we want more features and more people involved in it. We pay for setting up someone who's going to access the phones. Okay, not people coming in. We can even have an 800 number for free. They don't care.
Carolyn, and then the lady back over here.
I think it sounds like a good idea. However, do other HOAs, say, in the Metroplex area, do you know whether they have it, and if so, how they responding to it?
Actually, they usually do. But the management company owns it. And so when you change management companies, your telephone number changes.
And I can answer that as well. I know one HOA that has somebody that answers their phone between 9 and 2 every day.
That's an answering service. And that'll cost more than $150.
I don't know who it is, but
But I consider it an answering service. When I owned the business, I had an answering service because this technology didn't exist. And it cost me about $200 a month for an answering service. And that's business hours only. No emergencies.
This lady back here.
I think it's a good idea. I don't think it's something we should tackle right now, considering we're trying to bounce back from, we're not looking at our budget now, what we're operating off of now. I think that, this is something we may want to look at, revisit maybe later on, but I don't think it's something that we need to consider right now.
As I said, I got several emails, text messages, and phone calls this last week. And if this keeps up, I'm not going anywhere. I don't want it.
It's a lot of work when you're volunteering your time.
I spent at least 30 hours. Yes.
I think the phone number's a good idea. I don't think we need a staff of people to check it. I think maybe the board could be assigned a day or a week or whatever, where one person will be responsible for checking it 2 or 3 times a day, maybe. Setting it up in a queue. I don't think we need a staff of people.
Well, it automatically just uses it up. It's part of the service. It takes the voicemail. It lets you decide whether to just leave a regular voicemail. You can say, maybe this has to do with billing. It's just like any other business that says, press 1 if you want to do this, press 2 if you want to do this. And then you don't care where it goes as long as it gets handled, right?
I think the
That's
phone number
wonderful.
is a great idea.
Julia?
And it's tracked.
I think it's a good idea, but I think maybe we should
get the top stuff set up and see exactly what we need. Because if we're trying to set them both up at the same time, it may be that things start falling through the cracks as far as if people don't know where to go to ask for certain things.
Well,
Maybe we need to set one
Well-
up separately.
and that might be a good idea, because with TOPS, you'll be able to send a message directly to any board member right through TOPS.
You
Or
can't
put it in
internet
the
access.
You know, you can ask Jeff, you can send a message to Jeff Weaver, ask him a question about your statement or your dues. Now, the people who aren't on TOPS, which, it's only gonna be like a handful. Last count, we had like 36 people who didn't have email addresses. Now, they would need to contact us by phone.
I mean, I think it's a good idea, but I think maybe we need to hold off and see how it works with TOPS first, since that's already in progress, and then revisit it.
Okay, that's fine. I'm gonna resign if I don't have to, if I still have to spend 30 hours a week doing this?
How is the system gonna keep you from spending 30